I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded. Is there anyone else in attendance that's recording this meeting? There being none, if you join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. We will now move on to special recognitions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have with us in attendance tonight, as we've been reporting to you for months now, quite honestly, it was an idea that came before the committee a few years ago. Those of you who've had the chance to go by Auburn High School, you see that our press box is very close to near completion, and the people in this room are largely responsible for that being the case. So I would like to just introduce them, and if you're willing to just stand or wave when your name is announced. So from the local channel committee, who has committed considerable dollars and funding to this, we have Joe Hamill, Bill Schiebler. Bill's not here, okay. Both Bill and Joe are members of the press box subcommittee as well. Will Dufour, I don't see, James Bishop, and Doug Nelson. From the DPW team, we have Bill Coyle, as well as Jim Beauregard and Caleb Moody. And then from Bay Path Regional Vocational Technical High School, we have John LaFlesche, Superintendent, Cliff Cloutier, who's the principal, who's not here with us tonight, Don Montville, Dave Martinson, and Brian Langtock. From KG Sign, we have Mike Hannigan. Thank you. From Johnson Engineering, we have Rob Johnson and Travis Alexander. And from the press box subcommittee, I noted Joe Hamill and Bill Schiebler. We also have Wayne Page, Joe Fahey, Bill Garno, who's not with us this evening, Bill Coyle as well, and myself. So committee members, I can tell you that, as you can see, based on the large group of people here, it has truly been a team effort. Much like a lot that is accomplished in the Auburn schools, so I certainly offer my sincere thanks to all of you for the work that you've done over these past months and even years.
Anyone have any comments?
I'd just like to thank all of you for getting this project done, because it seemed like we had a little setback there, and then all of a sudden you guys came forward and got it all together and made it happen. I want to thank all of you.
You did a wonderful job. It looks beautiful.
Yep, I wish there was more we could do, but I kind of was hoping that we could have this evening together where I could thank all of you and get to meet you. I don't know if I'll have that opportunity, but great of you to show up tonight. We really appreciate what you've done. The DPW getting together and getting that work done, getting it framed. KG Sign, I appreciate that. And I don't want to leave anyone out. Bay Path, we appreciate everything that you've done. It's great when we can work together as a community, as neighbors. It wasn't long ago that Bay Path was using our football field, and they came back to help us with the press box. And really, that's what it's all about. It's about bringing community together, helping one another out, and I appreciate that greatly. Thank you.
I think what George said is very well said, and good things happen. You know, it was a very lengthy process, and by working together, it is absolutely beautiful, as Liz said. So I thank you on behalf of the district, and more importantly, on those that are going to be able to enjoy it and utilize that for years to come. So I thank you very much.
And there's one group I forgot, that the students from Bay Path who have been coming out under Mr. Martinson and Mr. Langtock's skillful guidance have benefited. I hope they've benefited as well from the experience, but certainly we have benefited, and it's something that I think we can all be proud of, because it is for the students. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there will be a groundbreaking ceremony, not groundbreaking, official opening, grand opening, dedication ceremony, and everyone will be invited to that as well.
One more thing.
Yes.
Chair. And never hesitate to contact us with anything that you need help with, any questions we can answer, because again, that's the way it works. You helped us out, and anything we can do for you, contact the superintendent, contact any one of us, and we'd be glad to help you out in any way we can.
So thanks, everybody. You can tell them they can leave.
Yeah,
they can
you
stay
don't have to
if they-
stay. We thank you for taking the time out of your
Thank
day.
you. Thanks. I know. You'll be freaking out.
We can now move on to citizens' concerns and comments, if there are any. There being none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the regular session minutes from June 5th.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from June 5th.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? I will say that I did watch the meeting on the replay, so I'm comfortable voting on this. All those in favor? Aye. It is a vote. We'll now move on to the superintendent's report.
Since Mr. Fahey is resetting the breaker, if that's what you do with breakers, for our data projected to work, what I'm going to do is move forward. Mr. Campbell, if you're okay, and you're okay, Mr. Chairperson?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell will get up and just share with you some information regarding the coordinated program review that I had shared with you.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to give you this summary. As I think we may have reported to you in the past, every 3 years the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education comes out and does an audit, for lack of a better word, of various areas that school districts are responsible for. This past year, we received an audit in the area that I'm addressing tonight of both special education and civil rights. And so, in general, I want you to know that the staff here, I think, did an outstanding job. I'm in the midst right now of putting together a plan of correction, which is the standard thing. I think what's important is we were reviewed in 85 distinctly different areas. Of those, 58 were in the area of special education. I think there's a summary in your packet.
Yeah.
27 were in the area of civil rights. Out of that total of 85 areas, we were in complete compliance in 72 of them. In 13 areas, we were partially fulfilling. And that could mean that in the records review that they did or in the interviews that they did, if one or two people said, well, gee, I didn't know that, or that didn't happen as far as I know, then that would have given us the grade of a partial implementation, because there was some evidence that we were not perfect in it. So I'm not trying to minimize that, but I wanted to put it in perspective. What's maybe the most important area, though, that I think the staff that both preceded me and the staff who are here this year deserve recognition for, is we received a commendable. And just to put that into perspective, and I have to admit I didn't have this perspective, in talking to a consultant who's working for the district who go around the co-teaching and furthering our efforts to introduce co-teaching across the district. She commented to me when she heard that this was in our review, that in the last 5 years she had not heard of another district being found to get a commendable in any area. So I think that puts it into perspective. And specifically, the area that she felt that we, and when I say we, I really do mean the staff and the buildings, the principals, the teachers, the instructional aides, was in the area of maintaining some medically fragile children in our district as opposed to sending them to out-of-district placements. And there's been a concerted effort across the whole district in the last couple of years to both maintain kids in the district, or in many instances at the middle school and high school, we've successfully returned students to the district. And so that was the combined area of our commitment really to inclusion, whether or not that was in the example of a student returning or not going out of the district, or for those children who are medically fragile. So the next steps will be that actually by Friday I will submit a plan of correction. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education will review that, and we will have approximately a year to implement that. There will be elements where I will provide some training, or we've already made some adjustments. A couple of the 13 areas we recited and had to do with space. And so the principals in both of those schools have made decisions about how in the future we will use space differently. So my plan of correction will basically be, we've already corrected that. There were a couple of areas under the civil rights where unbeknownst to us, we had to notify students of the availability of public education even though they had left the district. And so that's something we've already actually corrected. A fourth example was In sending out individual education programs, we were only sending one copy to parents, and we're really required to send two. So of those 13 areas, there are a number of them we've already made the corrections. A number of others, what we'll do is provide professional development, document that, and I'll do some internal monitoring and report that electronically to the department probably around January or March next year, and then theoretically they would come back themselves and review my internal audits and maybe do some of their own spot checking. But I think that the fact that we received that commendable, and also in the total picture to have, out of the 85 areas we reviewed, and to have 72 of them completely being implemented is really a credit to the staff here and to the leadership in the district. So that's kind of my summary. One additional area, though, that I spoke with the superintendent, and she asked if I would give you a brief update, was maybe 2 months ago, I was here and gave you an update on a young man that we had moved from one particular location to another one, and how our initial reports are how well that had been going. One of the elements that we used in that initial determination of whether or not improvements could be made in his previous location is that we brought in an outside evaluator to look at that previous location. And I think showing a commitment to best practices, we brought that outside evaluator back to take a look at the new circumstances that I described to you about the young man who's living in a shared living environment and then going to both the day hab and receiving vocational services in Millbury. And among the things that evaluator said was in his 30-plus years of doing these kind of outside evaluations where he's often called back secondly, he's almost never seen the degree of improvement in the quality of life that he's seen in the before and after view of this young man, which is really, again, a testament, I think, to the commitment of the district. Something that's far less important, but you also might be interested in, is I've also just recently renegotiated the contracts for the next fiscal year. This next fiscal year will be our last full 12-month. So the goal here is to prepare this young man educationally for adulthood, which I think we are down that road, and so this will be the last 12-month contract. And I can tell you that continuing on the effort we've made is a secondary issue, because the first issue here is not to save money, but when the byproduct is a better quality of life for the student and better use of public funds, I think that is great. The contracts that have been renegotiated represent an 11% reduction in the current fiscal year's level. So that brings, compared to the previous location where this young man was, a total of approximately a 33% reduction in the cost, which represents a projected savings of almost $90,000 to the district, which I think, again, is an element of the commitment that the district has to do what's right for the student, and then to use what are best practices. So that's just an update, since I took quite a bit of your time a couple months ago to give you a summary of that student. So, any questions on either the coordinated program review or the second issue that I raised?
On the review, you said that some of the issues had to do with space.
Yes.
When you put together your plan on how to deal with those issues, could you share that with us? I would like to know how that, and I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't or obviously we have to create that space, but I'd like to know how that affects the school in general and the entire population of the student body if we have to deal with issues of space. So if you could kind of share that with us, it would be helpful to me.
Yes, and if with your permission, I can tell you, I can give you an answer to those two space issues. But the whole plan of both our final report and our plan of correction becomes a public document once it's accepted by them. So not only will it be available for you, it'll be available for the public to review also. But the answer to those particular issues is, we were using library space in the middle school this year for ELL, for some ELL tutoring, if that's the right way to phrase that. And the principal there has already made a commitment, which I will represent on behalf of the district, to use a regular classroom for those services next year. So that will fully address that issue. And there was a concern, even though I don't think the district agreed with this conclusion, that the use of the modular classroom at the Packagug School which has one of our only substantially separate classrooms in it, that was not fully integrated, and the students therefore were not fully integrated into the community, that school community. I think our disagreement was, and the building principal did a wonderful job of writing a cover memo, and the superintendent and I both also contributed documents to try to persuade the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education that conclusion was not arrived at accurately. That because of the configuration of that building, there were just really not very many spaces where there was a large enough set of classrooms that you could place that substantially separate classroom in among other classrooms. Plus, the use of the modular classroom, which is actually in very good condition, was air conditioned, which in the past had been used for the extended service year. So the solution that the principal came up with there is a regular ed classroom is going to be moved into the other modular classroom in that part of the building. Right now, that second classroom is used for some therapies and for, I believe, music tutoring. So that will become a regular ed classroom as of the beginning of school. And at least the initial response from the department is that at least our team leader from the department, she will support that as addressing that second building-related issue. And certainly, the support of building a new middle school will alleviate any problems with that, the current middle school is having when they had to react to the need for ELL and temporarily use the library. So, but I will come back with the permission of the superintendent if you want at any point, and either go over the plan of correction, but I also just wanted everybody to know publicly it will be available to both you and to the parents of the district.
So in response to that, I'm going to ask the question that anybody who's listening is probably wondering. So if you have to move that ELL out of the library and into a regular classroom, does that displace students that need that classroom?
No, what the principal will need to do is when students are at art or music or gym, it's going to take some creative scheduling. I mean, the library, from our perspective, is a fine space to use, but it's different than the space that, a regular classroom would be placed in. So it's just going to take creative scheduling, so no one will be displaced.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. So we're going to return in the agenda to Dr. Lezay presenting. You do have the PowerPoint in front of you, a copy of it. You should. So it's not going to project on the screen. Oh, it is going to project on the screen. Okay. Oh, okay.
We'll see. Can I ask?
I'm not sure if Kristen just
Mrs.
showed up.
Lozay, I have to leave, and so if I walk out of the room, it has nothing to do with you, but I will have to leave and then come back, so just so you understand.
Oh, he's coming. Okay, good. So Kathy, you'll have to just do the Control-Alt-Delete, yeah.
Too many things in my hand.
Just hit OK.
Okay, so Dr. Brunel asked me to come this evening and give you some updates around some of our summer programming that's going to take place this year. She asked me to be brief and only take 3 minutes because there is a Bruins game on. I'll do my best.
I did know
I
that.
tend to get winded, right? Teasing. Okay, well, this isn't working either. It's not coming down.
I think if you click on the screen first, and then you'll, and now I think if you hit the down button.
Gosh.
There you go.
Okay, that's a very fancy template I picked this time. Try to bring some variety when we do our presentation. So this evening I'm going to talk about a few things. Summer programming for our staff, summer programming for our students, our Title I and Title IIA audits, which was somewhat similar to what Mr. Campbell just talked about in terms of special ed and civil rights, though much smaller, and then give you a little preview of what's to come in 2013 and 2014. So I'm going to start with the summer curriculum and the summer PD, and in front of you at your places, I did provide you with the district brochure. In that is listed a lot of the curriculum work that will take place this summer, as well as the PD that will be offered in district. It's not all of it, but it's the major pieces of what will take place this summer. What we had our teachers do again this year was to submit to us proposals around summer curriculum work that they thought needed to happen prior to the beginning of next school year. And then a group of administrators read through those proposals, looked at the amount of hours that people were proposing and decided what made sense, and we approved which projects really aligned with the district initiative. So these are some of the ones I just wanted to highlight. We continue to do a lot of work around the math curriculum. The Common Core state standards have a lot of changes, especially at the middle school level. So grades 6 to 12 are really going to do some vertical alignment around that, especially in relationship to Algebra 1. We have the teachers across both schools, grades K through 2. Every single one of them is going to be working on a phonics alignment. We use the Bradley phonics program, K to 2, but within the Houghton Mifflin reading, there's also a phonics piece. So they're going to work to really bring those together in a more cohesive manner so that it's sequenced well for our students. We're also going to work K to 3 on writing alignment with the Common Core state standards, but again, to bring the Houghton Mifflin piece together with the 6 traits analytical model of writing. And we're going to revamp our rubrics. We created these last summer. And with a rubric, until you use it, you really don't work out the kinks. So this year we'll get back to work on that and make sure that we refine those. In grades 4 to 5, because of the Common Core state standards and a lot of emphasis on nonfiction text, we're going to have teachers working to create structured lessons around that. As you know, at the middle school, there's a big push around iPad use. So we'll have an opportunity for teachers to work on unit planning using the iPad to really try to transform the teaching and learning at that within those grades and across different subject areas. Last year we spoke a lot about the co-teaching initiative we had going at the middle school. It's planning to be expanded into the other grade levels next year, with the elementary on board a little bit and then the high school starting fresh in the fall. And we're going to give partnerships of teachers an opportunity to do some planning around that before they start the year. And a new initiative, we've talked a lot about our SAT scores. So we have Ready Step, which we administer at grade 8, the PSAT where sophomores and juniors take, and then our SAT where juniors and seniors take. And we just as of today had College Board representatives come to the high school and work with teachers to show them the skills that are present in each of those tests and which skills we're weakest on, which skills we're strongest on. So a group of teachers, grades 6 to 12, are going to work at really looking at those skills and identifying where they fall in our present curriculum to see if we have any gaps or also any redundancies that maybe we can work on tweaking.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
So you're saying they're talking to them about weaknesses that we may have. How do they decide what our weaknesses are?
We have a report on
Yep.
every student, but we also have a summary report that the College Board produces for us.
So they're looking at all our students and seeing, and they're evaluating how they did on those tests?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In terms of summer professional development, we have a lot of technology again. We're going to do iPad training. That continues to be a big request. Google Apps, how to flip your classroom. We'll be talking more about educator evaluation. I see it's on the agenda for further discussion later this evening, but we need to do more work around that. And at the elementary level, we're going to do some training with our KITS Engineering is Elementary out of the Boston Science Museum. Our leadership team, many of the members are going to be providing those. In addition to the district-offered professional development, we're also supporting teachers to go to AP training, pre-AP training, and some 6-trait training. In terms of programs for students, I also gave you a couple of brochures. It's not all represented there, but I think in front of you, you'll see a brochure for the K to 5 summer reading program. Again, the teachers and the reading specialists have decided to give students choices around authors, and then they have them creating reading response logs, whether it's just a prompt that they respond to, or whether it's a story grammar where they fill in the beginning, the middle, the end, the problem, the solution, and things like that. The middle school brochure is also in front of you for their summer reading, and the high school will be posted online. grades K to 5, which is actually students who are presently in those grades, each student will receive a math practice booklet that they'll take home, and they bring that back in the fall to their teachers, and there's usually some incentive around getting great participation around that. As in the past, we offer an elementary remedial summer school program. This will run 4 weeks this summer, and it will run 4 days for 3 hours. This is for identified students that meet certain criteria around their achievement, and let us go home and invite those students, and it's funded through Title I funds. The extended year program, which runs for students in pre-K to 12, is offered to students on educational plans who have met specific requirements as well. Their hours, it's a 6-week program, but their hours vary depending on the grade level that they're in and the needs, whether it's just a speech need or it's a whole academic program. This year we've added a few. We've added an elementary enrichment program. We asked teachers to propose to us some other ideas around summer enrichment opportunities, and we did have one teacher at Mary D. Stone who put forth 2 sessions. One is a culture club, and I think I put her brochure in front of you as well, and the other is a virtual safari session. Each of those sessions will run for 4 days. So it's basically a week for 2 hours a day. And that's for students that will enter grades 2 through 4. And we're excited that we have something new to offer, and hopefully we will be able to expand that next year. At the middle school, because of the innovation grant, they are offering a STEM camp, and it's around the theme of survival, and they're going to have a lot of hands-on activities for students that integrate science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to really foster the love of science. And that's a 1-week camp for students, and it runs all day. We also offer our traditional summer school at the high school for students who need to make up courses or recover some credits. I'd like to go over a little bit of the information regarding our Title I program review. Title I, I don't know if you're familiar with Title I, but it is a federally funded grant, and the funds are based on, the district is allocated a certain amount of money based on the district's level of poverty, and that is usually determined through free and reduced lunches. Once we're allocated a certain amount of money, we have to also apply some formulas, and then it decides which of our schools are the ones that actually qualify. And they have the highest rates of poverty within the district. And then within those schools, we can do targeted assistance to the most struggling students. So there is criteria on which students get to receive services through this program. We've funded parts of the math coach with this funding. We hire math paraprofessionals at the elementary, and we have the Math 2 coach that we fund through this at the middle school. So it was a similar process to what Mr. Campbell, I will say Mr. McInerney, Mr. Campbell presented to you. So we have to submit several documents, policies and procedures, letters to parents, the staffing and their schedules, all kinds of documents to the Department of Ed, and we did that in April. They came out and visited us on May 30th, and the visits incorporated observations in classrooms, interviews with staff, interviews with administrators, and also phone interviews with parents. And as a result, they could tell us that we had findings and that we would have to create action plans around that. They could have just simply given us recommendations. They did not have any findings for us, so we will have to do no follow-up work in terms of actions. They also didn't give us any recommendations, but again, we were fortunate to get some commendables, and we were commended for Title I binders that the principals and the staff in the buildings keep. And this speaks to that data piece that we're always coming up and presenting about. We keep great data, and they were very, very impressed with that. They think we do a commendable job of outreaching to our parents, Title I parents, but also parents in general and the community in general. And they were also impressed with our decision-making process, again, which is a data-driven decision-making process, and how we come to the decisions of what content area we'll focus on and how our students are identified. We also have a Title IIA program review. That was only the second of 3 that we did. And this particular program is around teacher effectiveness. Originally, it was when we had a lot of, not just Auburn, but across the Commonwealth, a lot of teachers who were not considered highly qualified, so this grant actually helped support teachers to get highly qualified. We, however, have 100% staff who is highly qualified, so we have chosen to use our Title IIA funds for our mentoring and induction program, as well as supplementing some other professional development in the district. So again, same thing, we submitted documents in April, they came on June 14th. They did mostly interviews, they did not go around and observe or visit schools. And at the end of that, we haven't got a written report because it just happened last Friday, but they did have a lot of verbal praise for our mentoring and induction program, which we were pleased to hear. And he indicated that there would be no findings for this particular review either. So again, as Mr. Campbell said, this is certainly about our schools and our administrators and our teachers and doing right by kids. So we are very pleased with the outcomes. And then I'll wrap it up with a sneak preview of what's to come next year. I know I had been here in the past with my retell and talking to you about English language learners and the new training that will be required for our teachers, the SEI endorsement courses, so you'll be hearing a lot about that next year as we begin to roll that out as a Cohort 2 district. We'll be expanding our co-teaching training, keys to literacy at the elementary. We've done a lot of work with that at the middle school. Based on the March Day, elementary principals and teachers have asked that we do some work with the elementary schools around that. Our curriculum focus area next year, because hopefully the state will have adopted the next generation of science standards, will be in science. We'll be looking at some textbook committees around math to ensure that our textbooks are aligned with the new Common Core. And again, we'll continue with the educator eval and the next phase of district determined measures. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions?
Just a comment.
Yes.
I'd just like to commend you on all of this, as well as Mr. Campbell, the superintendent, the entire staff. It's really something to be proud of. Anytime you get reports back from the state and they're all positive, I mean, very minor things that we need to look out for, and I'd just like to thank all of you. I appreciate your hard work.
It's a team effort. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Yes.
The SAT, I didn't realize that they came to us and sort of evaluated our SATs and sort of gave you an insight as to what we
Yep.
needed to work on. So that's fantastic. And although I don't agree with teaching to a test or but I think that if you have those tools, and I'm sure you agree with me, you assess that as you said you were going to. So perhaps when we look at our MCAS, I'd love to see how, if anything in the SATs is sort of lining up with that and just giving us a reinforcement that there are certain things that we need to work on. If you feel that that's an appropriate way to look at that, is to say, okay, the SATs are saying this, we're strong here, we're not strong here, and are the MCAS lining up with that? I think it's only gives you more validation that those things are either working well or not working well. So I was wondering if that might be something that we could look at when we look at our MCAS. There's one thing in here that you talk about flipping the classroom. I would really be curious after this summer when this class is offered, if the teachers are deciding to do more of that, and if you could give us sort of an idea as if more teachers are doing that, how that's working or what they're doing. I'm very interested in that, and I think that that's something that it says in here. It's it's sort of a rage in education, and so I agree. I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind kind of getting some feedback on that, whether it's in the spring or as teachers are starting to do it. I wouldn't mind getting some feedback on that. And then my last comment is our everyday math, because I ask about this all the time. Is that working well, and do you feel like that's a program that we're going to continue with? Are we looking at that as...
Everyday Math does have an updated version that has Common Core pieces in it, so that will be one of the series we look at going forward. However, now that teachers have become more comfortable with the Common Core, and that takes a couple of years, they are finding the gaps that exist in the Everyday Math, so that's why we think it's critical, now that they're comfortable with Common Core, to really look at that and outside series as well to see which is the best match for our kids.
Great, thank you very much.
And let me just tell you about the SAT. That is part of the plan at the high school. What I kind of outlined for you tonight is just the first step, and then they are going to bring in the MCAS. So I'm glad you brought that up.
I assumed that was going to happen,
Yeah.
but I didn't bring it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If I can just
Thank
echo the comments that Mr. Scobie and others have made, as reported to you throughout this year, we have had, I think, every feasible audit from the Department of Ed possible. We had the Coordinated Program Review, Title I, Title IIA, the Business Office Procedures, and in each of them, there were very few recommendations. As Mr. Scobie said, it's not often that you get commendations, and they were scattered or sprinkled throughout all of these. So it's a testament to the whole team, but certainly to Dr. Lozay, Mr. Campbell, Mr. Didi in the business office, under his leadership, that all of this is so. So I just wanted to recognize that too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
And now we have another representative here from the leadership team. Mr. Fahey is here to give an update regarding summer building projects and an overview. He does a tremendous job, as we all agree, keeping our buildings in the best shape possible, as well as our fields and grounds. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Fahey.
Hi, good evening. I had nothing to do with blowing the fuses, by the way. I have to save energy, even though it's not a bad idea. Let me start off with our summer building projects. Next week, just to get the word out, I know it's out, we're going to be resurfacing our track. All right, so it's going to be closed for a week. So, pretending on, hopefully we have good weather. That's what it comes down to. Each day we don't, the project gets pushed back a day. But we're hoping for 1 week. So we're all excited for that to happen. Summer building projects. Last year was the first year. What we did was we brought all our custodians together as a team approach, and hit each building 1 week at a time. Worked out really well. The way we look at it, basically, we have 18 professionals out there. So when these guys do the buildings, if they do it by themselves, you're relying on 2 guys. So by bringing the whole crew together, you're getting everybody to they all take great ownership in the buildings, but it gives them basically to show off the buildings to their coworkers, and also to learn from the other people as well. So it worked out last year. It was very positive. So we're excited to do it this year. And along with that, we're incorporating each year going through at least 2 classrooms, doing them the makeover, repainting it, doing that all on our own. So to save money. What we've done before in the past is we brought the prisoners in. So we're basically trying to do that on our own. So it's working out well. Again, these guys take great pride, ownership of the building. They want to do it. So we're excited for that to happen. Green Energy Grant, we talked about it the last time I was here. Been working pretty closely with Adam Burney, the town planner. What we did in April vacation, we completed the lighting project. Basically, it was a $99,000 project. We replaced all our 2x4 lamps throughout the building and our balances, along with LEDs in the cafeteria. And I'm actually really happy to report that looking at our utility bills over the last 2 months, we've saved 61,200 kilowatts alone at the high school. And that translates into roughly $8,000 savings. So it works. So along with that project too, we're installing VFDs, drives on our rooftop units. That work has been done. However, it hasn't been, we're still waiting for the controls to come in. Once that comes into place, we're looking at more savings. So all this is done really by physics. So I have to throw this in here. It's called affinity law. So what that means is power is proportional to shaft speed cubed. Reduction in speed equals power saving gain. So the reason why I'm telling you all this is because the next thing I'm going to be talking about is the air conditioning project at the high school. So by doing all this now, we're reducing our energy, because when we put new air conditioning in the high school, our kilowatts are going to go up. So we're hoping that we all balance off. So that's the method to our madness. So, with that being said, as we all know that we have $436,000 from the MSBA back to the project for air conditioning. We selected a designer. Right now, it's being reviewed by a new business manager. Once that gets approved, they'll start to design the air conditioning project. So, we're looking most likely at the fall, probably to do the air conditioning work. And depending on what the design is, it's not a problem, it's gonna be done on the roof if it works out well. So the company that we chosen was called RDK Engineering Company. They're out of Andover. They'll be doing the design. That should handle our air conditioning parts of the high school for all our classrooms. Next thing we have going on is the Broder Memorial, which I believe the groundbreaking is July 1st?
July 1st at 4 o'clock, yes.
Okay. It's a pretty aggressive schedule. They're going to be going through the whole summer. And it's going to be ending, I believe, August 25th. That's when they're doing the final planting. And KG Sign, who was here earlier for that helped us with the cupola, will be installing the bronze plaque back in, I believe that's in October. So that's basically about it. If I can answer any of your questions.
Through the chair. Just one question, Mr. Fay. The 2 classrooms, is that 2 classrooms per school or district?
Per school.
That you paid?
Mhm.
Okay, great. That's excellent. And sounds like everything's going great. And for us, when school was back in session last year, I noticed how immaculate my children's school was. And for that, I want to thank you and make sure that you pass that along to your entire staff. They do a great job. And in visiting the middle school for basketball, and I'm able to get to a few different schools per year, and I just can't believe the condition of them. For the age of these buildings, what you guys do, it's fantastic. And just make sure that you pass that along. And I thank you as well.
I will. Thank you very much. Again, as Ms. Lozay just said, it's a team effort.
It is.
Truly is. And couldn't be done without the help of all you people. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Sorry, one more thing. When I looked at Ms. Gribbins, it dawned on me I didn't talk about the track in the field. And I'm happy to report that all our fields are in good shape. We do have our regular routine tiers on a football field that has to get re-glued. Our baseball field, as I said before, it's 6 inches per year. We're holding at about 2 feet. We're doing pretty good. That's the overspray. I'm a little bit concerned about second base and behind second base because we've now migrated like 3 or 4 feet, so we need to pay a closer eye on that. Other than that, we put water out into the fields for the softball field and the baseball field for bringing down the dust. We brought in new field turf material for the infields, and what else have we done? That's pretty much about it.
And I have to say, if I may, I attend a lot of the soccer games that the town soccer, and the coaches are very good about making sure that there are parents or people that are like ball people, that so the kids aren't coming out on that track with their cleats. And the town really is working hard to make sure that the fields and the track itself is maintained and treated with respect. So, nothing but water on the field, on the artificial turf and things like that. So it's working out well.
It really is. I do agree. Soccer they do a fabulous job. They really do. They have the ball boys out there. I've actually had parents come up to me and say, hey, I've seen so-and-so with a carriage out here. So, I mean, everyone's aware of it, which is what we want. And it's, it will last,
Yeah.
So,
Through the
thank you.
chair.
Yeah,
That-
go ahead.
That just led me to another question. Do you find that in general around all the schools, even the younger age soccer, that they're cleaning up after themselves, or do we have to do any extra work? Do you hear from your people that there's ever a mess left there, or do they do it?
Never a mess, not to my knowledge. Occasionally we'll get our gypsies that will come in, but it's not our kids. It's not our leagues. But
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, just as I commended Dr. Lozay, Mr. Campbell, and as all of them have said, it is truly a team effort, but obviously it takes a leader, and Mr. Fahey could go on for much longer time. We don't want him to, but he could, in terms of all of the various projects that he has going at any given time. That really does ensure that our buildings are in the great shape, considering especially that 3 of them are near 90 years old, so he does a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
And if you want to tell them they can leave too. You guys want to leave?
Yeah, you may. Dismissed.
Oh, good. Good.
Thank you.
You do a great job.
We'll move on to.
Sure. The next item, the bullying prevention and intervention plan. We did, as I had reported to you previously, we had a subcommittee who looked through and reviewed it. What you have before you, we actually marked it in red so you could see the changes. Some of them are merely tense changes. It's been posted up on the website, but those, the more significant items that have been added, and these are really just to put in writing the practices that we've been adhering to, that we do list each year, the list of anti-bullying events that happen per school or initiatives, just to show the parents of our community that this is something that we take very seriously. And then also the communication among and between schools, to be sure that as students transfer from one school to the next, that communication, if there are any issues, that follows any children, whether they be targets or bystanders or bullies themselves. So that information is recorded. And all of the other items here, our reporting procedures, the tip line, the text line that we have available, all continue to work well. I think it was earlier that Mr. Hanfield was here reporting about Dr. Poteet from Boston College being out at Auburn High School. So it is my recommendation that you approve this updated plan, and once approved, we will post this to the website as well.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the updated APS bullying prevention intervention plan, posting the same on the district's website.
A second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote.
Great. The next item, and I have before you here, I had given you a blank copy of it, but it's been reported at several of our meetings, the educator evaluation update that's taken place this year, that new implementation. So what you have before you is a survey that we asked all of the educators who were on the evaluation cycle this year. And per the regulations, we had a requirement to have at least 50% of them on the evaluation cycle. So this is a snapshot that indicated their beliefs in terms of our implementation this first year. As Dr. Lozay had noted, we have an ed eval team that's going to work this summer. So we'll use this information, for example, on page 2 in terms of sufficient training regarding the use of the new program, that program being Teach Point. That was probably one of our lowest scores. In all of the other areas, we were generally within the 90% or above range. In that area there, people felt that they needed, not surprisingly, with the new piece of software, some more support with that. But all in all, it has gone remarkably well, and that is a tribute to not only to the principals who really committed to this, but the ed eval team members who began working on this last March, and then also all of the teachers who were on cycle this year, and even those who weren't, because we'd always in Auburn done goals, but we didn't formalize them to the degree in an educative plan that's required now, so that was an additional step. The classroom walkthroughs, I think, is a tremendous value add in this year. The Teach Point system really worked well for the principals, and as you can see, if you notice in particular on page 10, in response to the question, how has your practice been affected as a result of the formative or mid-year cycle? And this is really probably more in terms of the ed eval system in total. And it caused over 70% of the teachers to be more reflective in their practice. And I think that's really the place that we all want to get to, is that we're never going to do everything right the first time or perhaps even the second, but at least if we're explicitly reflecting on it and seeing how we can change what we do to better impact students, then to me, it's a tremendous win. So I think this speaks to the success that we've had. And in all of the comments, these will be shared with the Ed Eval team, actually at our first meeting, yet to be determined a date for this summer.
Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business.
Okay, I did prepare draft letters for both Senator Moore and Representative Frost, the originals of which I have here this evening. If you are comfortable with their contents, and perhaps once we can get secure Mrs. Gibbrey's signature, I believe they encapsulate the comments that you wish that they be there, that this being seen as another unfunded mandate, and to really see if funding couldn't be found to ensure that schools, not only the Auburn Public Schools, but that all schools have the ample technology in order to be able to administer this as the test has been designed. So those can be signed after the fact if people are in agreement with them.
Would you like us to start signing them now?
Sure, you can, yes, they're right here, that'd be great. And then in terms of the elementary class size issue that was reported to you at the June 5th meeting, we enclosed a copy of a letter that we sent to the incoming grade 2 students at Bryn Mawr School. If you remember, next year it's anticipated that of the 4 classrooms, 3 will be at 24, with 1 at 23. Having spoken with both Mrs. Chamberlain and Mrs. Chase, Bryn Mawr School is simply out of available space. So it is my recommendation that we, as we did this year, support those grade 2 classrooms with 2 instructional assistants. Mrs. Chamberlain would schedule them creatively so that they are there to support and lower the student-to-teacher ratio during the ELA and math blocks. And the savings that we've realized from either unexpected retirements or new hires, thank you, would allow us to do that. So it is my recommendation that you approve those 2 instructional assistants for grade 2.
Would you like that?
I make that motion.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
Great, thank you very much. The school building committee update, we had a meeting last night. Do you want me to report, Mr. Page?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
So what we realized is the land, everything is in place, but it cannot be purchased until July 1st because that's when the fiscal year starts, and that was the appropriation from town meeting. So it's got us on a very slight delay, but as soon as July 1st rolls around, the attorneys are working on the title search and getting that all set. So we hope to make up ground, and we've got our next meeting scheduled for July 30th. So we are currently in the process of putting, Mr. Needler is going to the Inspector General's office with the application for the construction manager at risk. And once those applications come in, we've formed a subcommittee to review those and look forward to having a CM at risk on board sometime in August. So we continue to move forward. And the press box update, you saw the great work of the tremendous number of volunteers and employees, team members who have really, it's a beautiful asset to the educational, the athletic complex, I think, which is great. Provided an update regarding new hires, and actually I spent, this afternoon, I met with 5, so some are not even reflected here. We'll give you an update at the July 10th meeting. The 2 grade 3 teachers have been hired for the Julia Bancroft School, and we are closing in on most of the others. So, as I said to each of them that I met with today, other than hiring new teachers or staff, which I loved as a principal, the opportunity to sit and engage with them and their excitement about coming to the Auburn Public Schools is very gratifying. So lots of great people joining our team. The Relay for Life event, I don't know if Mr. Laurie wants to address it, but I am thrilled to let you know that they raised $20,000 to be donated to the American Cancer Society for research. And it was a tremendously uplifting day. It was basically coordinated by 4 individuals: Marjorie Craver, Allie Donahue from the high school, John Bastian, and Tammy Bailey from the middle school. And as I was on the phone with them at probably 6 o'clock on Friday morning, and it was pouring and threatening to rain through midday. They were already there setting up some tents, and it actually worked out fine. We had part of it inside and part outside, but it was, the energy was really tremendously positive the whole day. It was great.
Just a quick comment, because I know they're going to come in and share with us some photos and some reflections on the day, but I agree. It was extremely uplifting day. You would think they would have been putting this on for 10 years. It was so professionally done and organized. And as a chaperone, I had a group of students, and we were on the track, and it was 23-minute intervals, and we get a little discombobulated from our group, and we were a little lost, and some of the high school kids saw this, came over and pointed us in the right direction of where we wanted to go, and it was just one of those days where everyone got along. It was very educational, and our district's preparing our kids, academically. It's preparing them athletically, and now it's also teaching them that it's important to give back in community service and do for others. And that's what the whole day was about, and our kids rose to the occasion. And the raising of $20,000 was just the icing on the cake. To be there and see and to interact on how they pulled this off, kudos to them. It was an absolute, I left there literally 10 feet tall. I felt so good. So I want to thank them on behalf of being a parent, being on the school committee, that was a lot of work. And I think the lessons learned are going to be tenfold, and I look forward to participating again next year.
We did have a debrief meeting on Tuesday morning, and they wanted to set a date already for next year, but we agreed we'd wait till the fall to do that. Very anxious to go forward, and that was the feeling that everybody had in terms of trying to find, where were there any little hiccups during the day, and there truly weren't any. And the combination of having the middle school and high school kids together was really gratifying to see too.
Absolutely.
The olders took the youngers under their wing, and the younger ones just looked so much up to the older kids. It was really a great day. Great day. Kudos to them.
The chair.
Yes.
Dr. Brunel, did the organizers feel the same way? Did they feel as if it was a real success? I mean, did they have that 10-foot tall feeling?
Mr. Laurie and
couldn't
I
have went
happened to be there with them as we transitioned from the end of the school day event to the afternoon part until 9:30. And you could literally peel them off the ceiling. They were so excited and so pleased with everything that had happened. So they're thrilled, and they are going to come on July 10th, and they've got a video that is being put together now that they'll be able to share with us, that just kind of shows highlights throughout the day. It was great.
Excellent.
Great day.
Thank you.
Sounds like it was an excellent day. They raised $20,000.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It's a big cause, too. I'm glad
Absolutely.
to see that the schools work together with that.
And then the next item is I did include a copy for you of letters to the retirees that they will receive.
Now we'll move on to the superintendent's evaluation. Basically, what I'm going to do, a little bit of paperwork here for everybody. This year we had 3 to do, where I recall in the past there was 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out just a form I came up with the ratings.
Great, thanks. I gotta leave this here so we remember to do that.
And if, George, if you could put one of these
Is
in front of
anybody- I thought
Liz.
there was only one. Is everybody's, no one's?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to also hand out your individual packets. And I'm going to ask that when we're done with each evaluation, George, that's Liz's in front of her, if you could hand them back in to me, and I will give them to the superintendent. If you would like a copy, I'm sure you can ask her for a copy, and she'll provide one for you. The first one that I'm going to go over is through the Massachusetts Model System for Education Evaluation. This was actually new to us this year, and I know it was quite comprehensive. So I'm going to start with, I'll read the headings, and then I'm just going to go through the delineations and then give a total score. At the end, when I'm done reading the entire evaluation, if you want to go back and comment on something, we can do that, and then we'll move on to the next evaluation. So the first, we're scoring, 1 would be an unsatisfactory, 2 needs an improvement, 3 is proficient, and 4 would be exemplary. And obviously what I did was, when 5 committee members voted on a particular item, then I would divide, 3 or a 4 by 5, however you scored. And then if there was, someone did an NA, not applicable, I would then divide by 4, just so if you see something 3.25%, that's why. There was not all 5 committee members gave a score for that. So basically, standards and indicators of effective administrative leadership, it's the superintendent rubric. Standard 1, instructional leadership, the education leader promotes the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff by cultivating a shared vision that makes powerful teaching and learning the central focus of schools. So 1A1 was standard-based unit design with a total score of 3.2. 1A2, lesson development support with a total score of 3. Indicator 1B, instruction ensures the practices in all settings reflect high expectations regarding content and quality of effort and work, engage all students, and are personalized to accommodate diverse learning styles, needs, interests, and levels of readiness. 1B1, instructional practices, 3. 1B2, quality of effort and work, total score 3. Diverse learners' needs, total score 2.8. Indicator 1C, assessment ensures that all principals and administrators facilitate practices that propel personnel to use a variety of formal and informal methods and assessments to measure student learning growth and understanding and make necessary adjustments to their practice when students are not learning. 1C1, variety of assessments, total score 3. 1C2, adjustment to practice, total score 3. Indicator 1D, evaluation provides effective and timely supervision and evaluation of all staff in alignment with state regulations and contract provisions. 1D1, educator goals, total score 3.4. 1D2, observations and feedback, total score 3.5. ID3 ratings, total score 3.25. 1D4, alignment review, total score 3.2. Data-informed decision-making uses multiple sources of evidence related to student learning, including state and district and school assessment results and growth data, to inform school and district goals and improve organizational performance, educator effectiveness, and student learning. 1E1, knowledge and use of data, total score 3.4. 1E2, school and district goals, total score 3.4. Improvement of performance, effectiveness, and learning, total score 3.2. Management and operations promotes the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff by ensuring a safe, efficient, and effective learning environment using resources to implement appropriate curriculum, staff, and scheduling. Indicator 2A, environment develops and executes effective plans, procedures, routines, and operational systems to address full range of safety, health, and emotional and social needs. 2A1, plans, procedures, and routines, total score 3.4. 2A2, operational systems, total score 3.2. 2A3, student health and social emotional needs, total score 3.2. Indicator 2B, human resources management and development, implements a cohesive approach to recruitment, hiring, induction, development, and career growth, and promotes high quality and effective practice. 11B1, recruiting and hiring strategies, total score 3.4. B2, induction, professional development, career growth strategies, total score 3. Indicator 2C, scheduling and management information systems, using systems to ensure optimal use of data and time for teaching, learning, and collaboration, minimizing disruptions and distractions for school-level staff. 2C1, time for teaching and learning, total score 3.25. 11C2, time for collaboration, total score 3.2. Indicator 2D, laws, ethics, and policies, understands and complies with state and federal laws and mandates, school committee policies, collective bargaining agreements, and ethical guidelines. 2D1, laws and policies, total score 3.4. Ethical behavior, total score 3.6. Indicator 2E, fiscal systems, develops a budget and supports the district's vision, missions, and goals, allocates and manages expenditures consistent with district and school-level goals and available resources. 11E1, fiscal systems, total score 3.6. Standard 3, family and community engagements, promotes the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff through effectiveness, partnerships, families, community organizations, and other stakeholders that support the mission of the school district. Indicator 3A, engagement, actively ensures that all families are welcome. Members of the classroom and school community can contribute to the effectiveness of the classroom, school district, and community. 3A1, family engagement, total score 3. 3A2, community and business engagement, total score 3.4. Indicator 3B, sharing responsibility, continuously collaborates with families and community stakeholders to support student learning and development, home, school, and in the community. 3B1, student support, total score 3. 3B2, family collaboration, total score 3. Indicator 3C, communication engages in regularly two-way culturally proficient communication with families and community stakeholders about student learning and performance. 3C1, two-way communications, total score 3. 3C2, culturally proficient communications, total score 3. Indicator 3D, family concerns, addresses family and community concerns in an equitable and effective and efficient manner. 3D1, family concerns, total score 3.2. Standard 4, professional culture, promotes success for all students by nurturing and sustaining a school culture of reflective practice, high expectations, and continuous learning for staff. Indicator 4A, commitment to high standards, fosters a shared commitment to high standards of service, teaching and learning with high expectations for achievement for all. 4A1, commitment to high standards, total score 3.6. 4A2, mission and core values, total score 3.6. 4A3, meetings, total score 3. Indicator 4B, culturally proficiency, ensures that policies and practices enable staff members and students to interact effectively in a culturally diverse environment which students' backgrounds, identities, strengths, and challenges are respected. 4B1, policy and practices, total score 3. Indicator 4C, communications, demonstrates strong interpersonal, written and verbal communication skills. 4C1, communication skills, total score 3.8. Indicator 4D, continuous learning, develops and nurtures a culture in which staff members are reflective about their practice and use of student data, current research, best practices, and theory to continuously adapt practice and achieve improved results. Model these behaviors in the administrator's own practice. 4D1, continuous learning to staff, total score 3.2. 4D2, continuous learning of administrators, total score 3.2. Indicator 4E, shared vision, continuously engages all stakeholders in the creation of a shared educational vision in which every student is prepared to succeed in post-secondary education and become a responsible citizen and a global contributor. 4E2, shared vision development, total score 3.2. Indicator 4F, managing conflict, employee strategies, responding to disagreement and dissent, constructively resolving conflict and building consensus throughout a district or school community. 4F1, response to disagreement, total score 3. 4F2, conflict resolution, total score 3. 4F3, consensus building, total score 3.4. And that is that evaluation. And if you could, does anyone have any questions or comments on that? I know it was new first time through. There being none, if you want to turn those down to me, and I'll hand
Turn these?
No, you can keep that. Just this, and if there's any
like that.
comments, the superintendent, I think, would like to review. And I'm going to actually give also Leanne, who's not here,
Okay, great, thanks.
hers to you as well.
Okay, thank you.
The next one is,
Thanks.
and again, I have the
Thanks.
form that I came up with. Do three, in case Liz returns. And this is, George, was this seat? That's Leanne's. And George. And here's mine. This is the superintendent evaluation, 2012-2013 school year. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just read the heading and then the question and then again the total score. Again, this is based on a 4 rating. So 1 is unsatisfactory, 2 requires improvement, 3 meets criteria, and 4, it exceeds criteria. Relationships with the committee, keeps the committee informed on issues, needs, and operations of the school system. 3.6. Offers educational and policy recommendations to the committee on items requiring committee action based on thorough study and analysis, total score 3.4. Seeks and accepts criticisms of her work, makes an effort towards correcting areas in need of improvement, total score 3.4. Supports and executes committee policy and actions to the community and staff, total score 3.8. Maintains a positive working relationship with the committee in which all members are consistently treated, total score 3.8. Bases her position upon educational principle and is willing to maintain that position without regard for its popularity until an official position can be reached, after which time she supports and implements the decision of the committee, total score 3.4. Ensures appropriate participation of administrators and other school personnel so that informed decisions can be made by the committee, total score 3.8. Community relationships. Makes herself reasonably available to parents and community members after they have followed the appropriate chain of command, total score 3.8. Gains respect and support of the community on the conduct of the school system's operation, total score 3.8. Participates actively in school-related community functions, total score 3.8. Maintains good working relationships with the press, total score 3.4. Maintains effective relationships and serves as liaison with other town committees, boards, and departments, total score 3.6. Administrative leadership. Develops and executes sound personnel procedures and practices, total score 3.4. Delegates authority to administrative staff members appropriate to the position each holds, total score 3.2. Develops performance standards for all staff that are in keeping with the school committee policy, contractual agreements, and educational goals of the district, total score 3.5. Recruits, assigns, and develops the best available administrative personnel, total score 3.6. Promotes culture of professionalism across the district, total score 3.6. Encourages and participation of appropriate administrative staff members and groups in planning and implementing procedures, total score 3.25. Organizes a planned program of evaluation and improvement for administrative and professional staff, total score 3.5. Keeps committee members informed on any of the above issues for informational purposes only, total score 3.8. Educational leadership. Organizes a planned program of curriculum evaluation and improvement with a periodic assessment of results, total score 3.25. Participates with the committee, staff, and community in updating, moving forward on the goals of the 3-year strategic plan through the 2013-2014 school year, total score 3.5. Implements a comprehensive professional development plan designed to move the district forward, total score 3.4. Business, finance, and labor relations. Keeps informed on needs of the school system, plant facilities, equipment, and supplies, total score 3.6. Oversees operations, insisting on competent and efficient performance, total score 3.4. Determines that funds are spent wisely in accordance with the annual school budget and that adequate controls and accounting are maintained, total score 3.4. Evaluates financial needs of the system and is effective in securing adequate funding for those needs, total score 3.6. Develops a timeline and recommends to the committee the system's annual budget, total score 3.4. Ensures regular year-to-date budget reports are provided to the committee with explanations, total score 3.2. Keeps informed on the needs of the school system in regard to labor contracts and serves as a resource in labor negotiations, total score 3.6. Is effective in controlling or moderating potential labor disputes and assures adherence to all collective bargaining agreements, total score 3.6. And that is the second evaluation, the superintendent evaluation. Are there any comments, or
No.
if you want to give me Liz's as well? And we have one more. Yes. Actually, you can keep that at her, in case she wants to look at it, just the evaluation
Just
itself.
This one itself?
Yes.
Okay. That one you can keep, the one right there, unless that's yours.
Thank
There
you,
you go.
sir.
And the last one,
More reading to do.
again, this is I saved the
Okay.
shorter one for last. Get them a little dry. I don't know if Liz is going to make it, but I'll hand down that as well. Again, that's George's. Liz, if you want to come in front of the seat in case she comes. And that's Wayne's. I'll just get that door for you now. This is the superintendent's performance goals and Dr. Brunel's educator plan. And there are 5. We rated on 5, a scale of 1 to 5 on this. 1 that did not meet. 2, there is some progress. 3, there is significant progress. 4 is met, and 5 is exceeded. The first is school visits, and she basically, a goal for her was to manage time more effectively in order to increase the frequency and quality of school visits to at least 2 one-hour visits per month per school on average for the purpose of maintaining focus on teaching, learning, and supporting principals and their instructional leaders of the building and staff. Total score was 4.2. Advanced placement of tests by June 2013, the percentage of students taking advanced placement tests will grow by at least 5%. Percentage of students earning scores of 3 or higher on advanced placement tests will increase by 10%, with the 2011-2012 scores serving as baseline because AP tests are only administered in the spring of each school year. Total score was 4.2. Facilities and maintenance, by May 2013, make every effort to have a master plan developed for the APS building as well as approval from the town of Auburn to construct a new middle school. Total score was 4.8. STEM-based opportunities, by June 2013, implement or have in place plans to implement in the 2013-14 school year at least 1 additional STEM-based opportunity to level the Auburn schools, primary, intermediate, middle, and high school. Total score 4.4. If you want to turn, does anyone have any comments on that? If you want to turn those down. We actually just finished. Sorry.
Do you have yours?
So if you want to turn yours down, and I just have some comments if.
What's the Liz one you get there?
I'm going to, basically you can keep the sheets, the rating sheets, so you can go over them and look, and if you want a copy of your evaluation, just in case there are comments and notes I know that I made on mine that if the superintendent wants to review those, she has the ability and then to ask for a copy. Are there any comments? I mean, I'll comment only because this was new to me this year, and there was a little bit of work involved. When I signed up, I didn't realize the extent of that evaluation process. And looking at it, what I will say, in some cases, I think your evaluation is excellent, by the way, in my personal opinion, looking at all the comments committee members made and the totality of work that you've done. In a lot of cases, it didn't meet a 4. It was something where you're evaluated on, well, you did it. So it's not, you actually did that function. So I want people to know that, in my mind, you did an exceptional job this year. And your scores, too, reflect that. I mean, very high in most areas and very proficient, obviously, in all. And I want to thank you. I think this past year, being chair and working with you more on a one-to-one basis on certain things, setting up the agenda and doing different things to assure the public, honestly, what if, I know we talk about teamwork, and I agree you have a fantastic team, but you're the leader of that team, and you're doing a fantastic job. And Pound, I mean, there's no one I can say that's working harder on a daily basis that I can see. Your work ethic is second to none. And when you talk about, one of your goals, visiting schools, and I know you did attend more events, I don't know how you do it, because you attend everything, or you try to, and you should be commended for that. You're a fantastic leader for this district. We're fortunate to have you, and I hope that you'll see that evaluation reflects that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I'd just like to echo Jeff's sentiments. And at the same time, just say that sometimes the numbers don't seem to be what they are. They were good, but they could have been better. But given the criteria and the numbers that we have to work with, sometimes they may appear lower than they actually could have been, had there been a different criteria. Just saying. So if I were you, I would reflect more on the commentary, because I'm sure that there was some very nice comments made, and I didn't read anyone else's, but I know mine, and there was some discussion with other members, and I would say reflect on that more than anything.
Thank you.
Yes.
You know what, I agree with what both of you have said, but these scores were excellent. These are very excellent scores, and I have to tell you, I'm just so proud of our district. I think we're doing so well. I think our kids are thriving. The district is thriving. I think the community sees that, and what you said before about Mr. Fahey, it really reflects on the leader. And so I thank you for everything that you've done this past year. And I think where I saw you really shine, or really go to the umpteenth degree, was getting that middle school project through. That was so important for this community to have that project go through, and you took that on full force, and you made sure that it was going to happen no matter what. And for that alone, you should have a lot of pride in, as much as we have pride in what you've done. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
I just like to echo what everybody else said. Thank you for doing such a great job, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thanks. It's hard to believe it's the end of year 5, but it is. You know, it's a great district, and I'm very proud of the work that everyone is doing. And the icing on the cake this year was certainly the middle school project, and our kids deserve that. And I cannot wait till the day we have a real shovel in the ground. So thank you for all your comments. I appreciate it.
Moving on to new business.
The year is winding down. We had a terrific 8th grade graduation today. It really was spectacular, another packed house. There are events that are taking place as we go forward. The next school committee meeting, as a reminder, will be on July 10th. But between now and Monday, when our students leave, we even have some professional development Monday afternoon with our teachers, and teachers will leave on Tuesday, and we certainly thank all of the staff for a great year. It is because of the work that they do that we're achieving the successes that we are. It's already time to look ahead to the MASC conference. It's scheduled for November 6th through the 9th down in Hyannis. If you do want to attend, if we sign up by July 15th, it's at a significant saving. So if you're not prepared to decide tonight, as long as if you let Elaine know, she'll take care of registering you at that cost savings.
Okay.
And we've not even started FY14. That comes on July 1st, but just to plant a seed in your mind that before we know it, not to rush things, but it will be in August or so that with the leadership team and with Mr. Gray's arrival, that we'll start to do some preliminary planning around the budget for 15. So if there are any priorities you have, just to share those at upcoming meetings.
Does anyone else have anything in new business? I do, just briefly. We had talked earlier about the Relay for Life event in Auburn and how cancer touches us all. And a colleague of mine, Stephanie Seeger, young police officer, is just diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. They're having a fundraiser to give to Dana-Farber for research. She's going to lose her hair because of the chemotherapy that she's going to be undertaking. And her brother, who's a Worcester police officer, came up with an event, Shave It for Steph, which is going to be held on June 30th, 2 to 6 p.m. at the CrossFit Center, 333 Shrewsbury Street in the city of Worcester. There'll be raffles and different things, donations for the charity. And, Stephanie Seeger really epitomizes a person who, even during difficult times in her life, is committed to helping others and doing for others. And I know I'm supporting her on this. Hopefully people in the community will. You'll have to pardon my appearance at our next meeting. I may be a few strands of light around the top of my head myself. But in any event, it should be a good event. You don't have to shave your head, but to support staff and to support those that are in need.
She's an alumni, too. She's an alumni.
And she is. She's a product of the Auburn Public Schools. Grew up in Auburn, still resides here. Just phenomenal person, police officer, and she's taking this in stride like the human being she is. So hopefully we can all support her in the community, and that is on Sunday, June 30th, 2 to 6 on Shrewsbury Street in Worcester. Thank you. And now the business and financial report.
Actually,
Oh,
if
I'm
I
sorry.
can bring
Yep.
up just a couple of quick items.
Yes.
The first one, so as you were made aware, the Major David Brodeur Memorial Foundation, Mr. Fahid reported the groundbreaking will be on July 1st. Each of you will receive an invitation, but they asked that I pass it along. It'll be at 4 o'clock. Major Brodeur's wife and children will be in attendance for that. It'll be at the high school. But also as part of the fundraising, and this actually, the money is generated primarily from the run that they have each October, that they're awarding grants to students. Students bring forward an idea of something that will help the greater community, believing that this will help carry on David's memory. And students were awarded the grant this year, $200. Actually, Lucas Sousa was awarded a grant. And what we'd like to do is establish a revolving account in which the grant funds would be placed, and that as items are purchased, it would come out of that. So it will require your approval. So it is my recommendation that you vote to request that a revolving account for the Major David Brodeur Memorial Foundation grants be established. And with your affirmative vote, I'll have Mr. Kazanovich establish that account.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
And these funds came in actually just yesterday, so I wanted to be sure to get it established, so that's a great thing. The other item, just to make you aware of, and this is, from my perspective, a feather in the cap for the Auburn Public Schools. As you know, Auburn Middle School has received an innovation grant, an implementation last year, and a planning grant last year, and implementation this year. A week from tomorrow, June 27th, from 9 to 2:30, the Department of Ed will be holding at the high school an Innovation Schools convening. And there will be schools from across the Commonwealth, innovation schools currently, and those who want to learn about the potential in such grant programs. Secretary of Education Matthew Malone will be in attendance. I will be offering some welcoming remarks. So I offer that to you if you have any availability that day. It'll be from 9 to 2:30, and you are more than welcome to come and join us. But it's a nice event that we get to host, and especially at Auburn High School, it being the beautiful facility that it is.
If there is no other new business and financial.
There are some transfers here before you that I recommend. I continue to work with Mrs. Turcott and Mrs. Moore, who are doing a great job, and it is my recommendation that you approve the transfers as recommended.
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye, it is a vote.
As I indicated in in my superintendent's memo, we do have the French River bid, and it is my recommendation, so we have it for food services, and that would actually to supply for the frozen and dry goods, for the paper, for the milk, and for bread. There is a recommended motion noted there.
Want to do a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
And additionally, as hoped, the athletic bid did come in. It is in your packet. And there are a number of vendors on the reverse side. You can see that they will go to various vendors based on the best prices. It really does reap us considerable savings. So it is my recommendation to approve the athletic bid as procured by the French River Education Center and recommended by myself.
Make the motion.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
We did provide for you an update regarding the revolving accounts. Some of these, one that you'll note on the first page shows that it appears the account is in deficit. It just, a deposit had not yet been posted at Town Hall, but our accounts remain healthy and we use them as they were originally designated. And finally, the year-to-date budget report. As you can see, our overall balance continues to dwindle. We are closing out the blanket purchase orders. Those are mostly for the things such as repairs and maintenance that you can't predict with certainty until actually an item breaks or needs to be repaired. But as you can see in a number of these line items, more than not, the balance is to zero, and come July 10th, we will bring this final recommendation forward, and we will be at zero in total, other than those funds that'll be carried forward.
Very good. Well, we do have to go into executive session this evening, so I will entertain a motion.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bribbins? Mr. Scobie?
Yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
Mr. Laurie?
Yes. Good night, everyone.